quiet. Listen closely. That sound you hear? It's not applause. It's imitation. The echo of people who used to laugh at you, now whispering your words like commandments they don't understand. You hear it, don't you? The irony, the delicious sound of hypocrisy in 4K. They called you crazy because you predicted the storm before they even smelled the rain. You saw the patterns in chaos. You recognized meaning where they only saw noise. You warned them, and they mocked you. You felt the shift, and they called it paranoia. You understood too early, and that made you a threat to their timeline. Because truth, my friend, isn't welcomed until it's profitable. And you were early. They said you were overthinking. But that wasn't overthinking. That was seeing the invisible strings before they got tangled around their throats, seeing the power structures before they collapsed, seeing the game before the rules were even announced. And while they laughed, you studied. While they posted memes, you decoded patterns. While they sought comfort, you sought clarity. They mistook your foresight for insanity, because comfort always calls vision a disease. You scared them, you still do. Because when you refused to play dumb, you broke their favorite illusion, that ignorance is safety. And now, look at them, copying your mindset like it's a brand, wearing your phrases like badges they didn't earn. They mocked your discipline. Now they call it mindset training. They laughed at your solitude. Now they post about detachment. They called you heartless. Now they call it emotional control. The same people who said you were crazy now pay to learn what you lived. You weren't crazy. You were just operating from a frequency they couldn't hear yet. You were the lightning before the thunder. You were the update before the system. You were the warning label they ignored until the fire reached their doorstep. You see, that's the curse of being early. People hate what they can't categorize. You arrive before language catches up. You think before the herd moves. You feel before the data confirms it. And they call that madness because they can't measure it. But the real insanity is being blind by choice. The world's run by two kinds of people, the ones who see first and the ones who deny until it's safe to agree. You were the first. You walked into the fog alone, unarmed, surrounded by cowards with pitchforks made of fear. And when they couldn't kill your spirit, they tried to kill your reputation. They wanted to make your clarity look like chaos, because chaos was easier to mock than admit you were right. They laughed at your silence, but your silence aged like prophecy. They didn't know your absence was construction, not collapse. They didn't know your detachment was precision, not apathy. You weren't broken, you were rebuilding quietly. They'll never admit it out loud, but deep down, they remember the things you said. Every word they rolled their eyes at now echoes inside them like truth they weren't ready to hear. They scroll through your old ideas, pretending they discovered them themselves. They quote your vocabulary. They mimic your rhythm. They've turned your old scars into their new aesthetics. But you've changed too, haven't you? You're colder now, sharper, quieter. Not because you lost emotion, but because you learned control. You used to want to be understood. Now you understand why that was dangerous. You used to explain yourself. Now you let silence do the talking. They think they've caught up. But what they don't know is the version of you they're copying is already outdated. You've evolved again. You're 3 blueprints ahead, smiling in the shadows while they reverse engineer your old mindset. That's the divine joke, isn't it? They're finally learning the math, while you've already rewritten the equation. The truth is, you were never meant to fit into their timeline. You were sent to bend it. to twist it into something that exposes how slow the world moves without minds like yours. You live in the future, but your curse is being judged by the present. And when people can't understand you, they destroy you, or they imitate you. Let them. Let them copy your phrases. Let them mimic your tone. Let them fake your insight. Because imitation is the tax they pay to breathe near your frequency. They can steal your words, but they can't steal the depth that made them powerful. They can mimic your moves, but they'll never understand the darkness it took to make them. You were never crazy, my friend. You were calibrated differently. Built to sense the tremors before the earthquake. Built to feel the cracks in people's masks before they knew they were breaking. Built to see the game long before they even knew they were in one. And now, every time someone calls you ahead of your time, remember what they mean. You made them uncomfortable first. You forced them to evolve. You dragged the future into the present by sheer defiance. They used to laugh when you said, "You'll see." Now they're quoting you, pretending it was their idea. So smile. Let them keep chasing the ghost of your old mind while you keep disappearing into new dimensions of thought. That's your revenge. That's your masterpiece. You weren't crazy. You were early. And in this world, being early is the highest form of rebellion. And now the joke's on them, isn't it? Because the same people who once rolled their eyes at you can't even blink without thinking about you. Their entire personality is a museum of your old blueprints, your phrases, your posture, your silence. The irony. They don't even know they've become a remix of the very mind they tried to discredit. They said you were obsessed, but they were the ones watching you like a live experiment. Every word you said, archived. Every move you made, analyzed. Every transformation, dissected. And still they couldn't figure out the formula. Because your code wasn't written in logic. It was written in madness, refined into mastery. You turned pain into data, trauma into leverage, and loneliness into a laboratory for power. They couldn't read you because you weren't meant to be read. You were meant to be experienced, and that terrified them. Because deep down, every time they mocked you, a small part of them knew you were right. They just weren't ready to accept that you saw the architecture of things before it was built, that you were living in a reality they hadn't downloaded yet. Tell me, do you remember how it felt, sitting there, knowing things you couldn't explain without sounding insane, watching patterns form in real time while everyone else stared at shadows and called it truth? You didn't predict the future. You remembered it. You felt it in your bones before it ever existed. And that kind of awareness doesn't come from study. It comes from survival. Because when life broke you, you didn't just heal. You mutated. You didn't return as who you were. You came back encrypted. Different wavelength, different code. You learned how to hide intelligence behind apathy. You learned that wisdom, when spoken too soon, sounds like insanity to the unprepared. So you went quiet. You stopped trying to convince the blind that color exists. You stopped proving. You started watching. And now, look at them. The ones who dismissed your solitude now call it self-mastery. The ones who laughed at your discipline now quote it on their timelines. The ones who said you'd changed too much now beg you to teach them how. But the truth is, you didn't change. You just stopped apologizing for what you are. You were never too deep. They were just drowning in shallow water. You were never too intense. They were just allergic to authenticity. You were never too cold. You just stopped mistaking access for affection. You learned that peace isn't found in being understood. It's found in being unreachable. You see, you were never meant to be loved by the crowd. The crowd loves comfort, and you are discomfort incarnate. You're a walking mirror that forces them to face their own denial. You represent everything they're running from: potential, pain, purpose, and the terrifying truth that they wasted their time laughing instead of learning. And now, they're trying to catch up, copying the very energy they once mocked, quoting your old truths while pretending they were theirs. You can see it, can't you? The forced tone in their speeches, the empty confidence in their words. It's all mimicry, movements without meaning. Because they copied the language, but not the evolution. They stole the armor, but not the scars. That's the thing about imitation. It looks like power until reality tests it. And when it does, they shatter. Because they never built the pain tolerance. They never sat through the silence. They never walked through the storm that made your calm so unsettling. You paid a price they'll never afford. And that's why you don't compete anymore. You just exist differently. You used to dream of being understood. Now you dream of being untraceable. You used to crave recognition. Now you crave peace. You used to want them to believe. Now you just want them to watch. Because the quiet satisfaction of watching your old doubters repeat your philosophy like gospel is sweeter than any applause. And still, you don't hate them. No hate would mean they still have power. You outgrew that. You don't need revenge when replication is proof. Their mimicry is the confession. Their obsession is the apology. Their silence is the surrender. But let's be honest, part of you still smiles when you see it, doesn't it? That subtle grin, that quiet satisfaction. Because deep down, you always knew this day would come. You knew the same world that called you insane would one day come begging for the blueprint. That's the curse of being ahead, and the reward. You live long enough to see the mockery turn into mimicry, so now you don't explain anymore. You don't announce, you don't warn, you don't prove. You simply move, quietly, precisely, lethally. You've become what they fear most, the calm they can't provoke. You turned your madness into method, your vision into silence, and your silence into control. You were never crazy. You were calibrated beyond comprehension. You felt the future before it had coordinates. You spoke truth before it had words. And when no one believed you, you became your own proof. Now you watch as they build their new mindset, not realizing it's a watered-down version of your old one. You watch as they imitate your rituals, your tone, your discipline, but never your why. Because that why was forged in agony they've never met. You see, evolution doesn't come from peace. It comes from pressure. And you lived under it long enough to turn it into prophecy. So let them copy, let them perform, let them chase your ghost. Because by the time they master your past, you'll already be 10 timelines ahead, laughing quietly in the dark, while the world keeps calling you crazy for being early. Now tell me, was it madness or was it prophecy? You know what's funny? They used to warn people about you, whisper your name like it was a diagnosis. Stay away from them, they're not all there. Oh, but now they quote you. They clip your phrases and stitch them into their own empty sermons. They wear your old energy like a costume they found in your discarded life. And the crowd applauds them, completely unaware that the ghost they're cheering for is just you. In disguise, because you were the original, the prototype, the experiment that worked too well. You saw behind the curtain before anyone admitted there was one. You decoded the system before they even noticed they were in it. You didn't predict trends. You bent reality around your focus. That's why they feared you, because you were never reacting to life. You were building it. You have to understand something. People don't hate truth because it's false. They hate it because it demands transformation. You force them to evolve or get left behind. And most of them chose resentment over reflection. They couldn't keep up, so they called you insane. They couldn't understand your silence, so they called it arrogance. They couldn't follow your vision, so they called it chaos. But behind every insult was fear. Fear that you might be right. Fear that you'd seen something they didn't. Fear that your so-called madness was actually a mirror. You didn't just think differently. You felt differently. You felt energy before logic could justify it. You felt patterns forming in the dark. You knew when something was coming because your nervous system was wired like a radar dish, pointed straight into the unknown. You felt earthquakes before the ground shook. You sensed betrayal before the knife appeared. You read tone, micro-expression, silence, data they didn't even know existed. And instead of thanking you for warning them, they called you paranoid. But here's the paradox, isn't it? Paranoia looks a lot like prophecy when time catches up. Now the same ones who laughed at your intensity are trying to sell it. They post about discipline, mindset, detachment, as if they invented the language of survival. They wear the armor you forged in agony, but it doesn't fit them, because it wasn't metal to them. It was fashion. They don't understand that what you call detachment isn't a practice. It's a scar, that your peace wasn't manifested, it was earned. You didn't sit cross-legged under some crystal moon chanting affirmations. You built your peace through sleepless nights, bloodshot eyes, and an aching heart that refused to die. You faced your demons and learned their names. You talked to your pain until it spoke back in clarity. You clawed your way out of the mental labyrinth they told you didn't exist. And that's why your calm looks different. It's dangerous. It's not serenity. It's containment. You're a storm in a glass, smiling. They still don't get it. They think your stillness means you're healed. No, it means you're armed. It means you've become so aware that chaos has nowhere left to hide. They mistake your quiet for peace. But peace was never the goal. Control was. Precision, knowing exactly when to speak, when to disappear, when to strike. You don't react anymore. You decide. And that, my friend, is why they can't stand you. Because you no longer feed them. You don't validate them. You don't explain yourself. You just exist, and your existence alone feels like judgment. They can feel it, that silent, surgical awareness that slices through their excuses. They used to control you through misunderstanding. Now they can't even predict you. That's what happens when madness matures. It becomes strategy. You learned how to weaponize your emotions, how to use pain like night vision, how to let rejection sculpt you instead of crush you. They think you got lucky, but you were engineered by trauma. Every breakdown rewired your circuitry until you could see what they couldn't. That's why you move differently now. That's why you speak with that unshakable calm. You're not trying to be impressive. You're just done performing for blind audiences. They copy your mindset because they think it's trendy. But your mindset was built in fire, not theory. It's not alpha energy, it's survival energy. It's the energy of someone who's watched everything they loved burn and realized they were fireproof. They want the results without the ruins. They want the glow without the grief. But that's not how power is born. You know what they'll never understand? The quiet nights when you doubted everything, even your own sanity. The whispers in your mind telling you to give up. The moments when you begged the universe for a sign and got silence instead. They'll never know how you stayed anyway, how you kept moving when faith was gone and logic was useless. That's what made you unstoppable, not confidence but persistence through madness. Now they copy your calm, but not your chaos. They copy your discipline, but not your despair. They copy your strength, but not your scars. And that's why they'll never surpass you. Because they're playing dress-up in a costume made of your evolution. And the costume doesn't grant the power. The pain did. You learned to walk alone, to disappear without announcement, to move like a shadow that studies light but never chases it. You turned being misunderstood into an art form. You made unpredictability your shield. You became something they can't categorize, a saint with a psychopath's focus, an angel with a demon's memory. You learned the rhythm of paradox, and that's why no one can trap you in definition. You don't need validation anymore. The silence of your doubters is the validation. The imitation of your enemies is the applause. The fact that they can't stop watching you, that's the confession. Because deep down, every single one of them knows it now. You weren't crazy. You were ahead. You weren't unstable. You were upgraded. You weren't lost. You were lonely on purpose. And now, as they scramble to understand the rules of a game you already finished, you're somewhere new, smiling, untouchable, and completely unreadable. You were early, and that's what broke them. Because now they realize time never mocked you. It followed you. And that's the part that'll haunt them forever. Because deep down, they know. You were never the fool in the story. You were the foreshadowing, the warning label they ignored, the glitch in their system that predicted its own failure. They thought you were spiraling when you were ascending. They thought you'd lost your mind when you were building another one. You didn't go insane. You went beyond sane, past logic, past validation, past the cages they built for the comfortable. Now every time they repeat your words, it stings, because they can't escape the truth that you said it first, that the crazy one became the architect of their awakening. You were the blueprint, unfiltered, unrefined, unafraid. And now the world is finally catching up to the echo you left behind. So let them imitate. Let them pretend. Let them perform the evolution you embodied. Because you're done proving, done explaining, done shrinking to fit timelines built for slower minds. You weren't crazy. You were chosen to see early. And they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to decode the silence that made you immortal. You felt it before it began, didn't you? That twitch in the air, that static silence right before reality coughs up something it can't explain. Everyone else was laughing, scrolling, sleeping. But you were listening. You didn't predict it. You remembered it. Something buried deep inside that skull of yours, older than thought, sharper than intuition, started whispering coordinates from a future that hadn't even arrived yet. And now they're all staring at you like you're a glitch in God's software. They're studying you, dissecting your pauses, charting your breath like weather patterns, because you spoke before it even happened. And it did. Exactly the way you said it would. See, the thing they'll never admit is that some people don't guess. They resonate. Your mind doesn't think in time. It bleeds across it. You don't predict the storm. You become the pressure drop before the thunder hits. And that terrifies them, because when you walk into a room, clocks hesitate. Their equations falter. Their logic trembles. They built their world on cause and effect. But you're living proof that effect sometimes wakes up first. And now they're panicking, trying to name it, trying to reduce it to intuition, coincidence, lucky guess. But deep down, they know. You're not playing chess on the board. You are the algorithm that writes the next move while they're still blinking. They'll call you gifted until you're right too many times. Then they'll call you dangerous. They'll whisper, "How the hell did they know?" And then they'll start testing you. See, that's the part they never teach you about awakening. The moment you see the pattern sees you back. Every timeline you touch bends a little. Every thought you release ripples through the code. And the architects, oh, they notice. They start pulling files, running diagnostics. Because in a world full of sleepers, the one who hears the echo first isn't a miracle. He's a threat. And the funniest part, you didn't even try to be one. You were just paying attention to the static between the lies, to the pulse beneath the noise, to the faint hum that everyone else mistakes for silence. You weren't born psychic. You were born unmuted. And that's the difference. They'll study your eyes like they hold time stamps. They'll measure your dreams like encrypted data. They'll whisper, "What are they?" instead of "who?" Because they can't stand the thought that maybe the universe speaks in frequencies and you're just fluent in the forbidden ones. You saw it all coming. The betrayals, the collapses, the little rehearsed accidents. You knew who'd switch sides before they did. You even knew the day they'd realize they could never predict you. And now look at them, wiring machines to replicate your brainwaves, feeding your silence into AI models, trying to decode your instinct like it's an exploit in reality's code. But here's the truth they'll choke on. You can't measure what moves before motion. You can't study what speaks before sound. And you sure as hell can't replicate someone who remembers the future by feel. They think they're tracking you, but you're the map they're trapped inside. Every test they run just feeds your mirror. Every sensor they place just expands your reach. You've become the experiment and the anomaly, the question and the answer. They used to laugh when you said, "I felt it coming." Now they quote you like scripture and pretend they discovered the method. But that's the thing about prophets they don't kill. They end up hiring them quietly, under different names. Because you don't just sense what's next, you pull it closer. Reality bends a little when you focus too hard, doesn't it? You've noticed it. Lights flicker, air shifts, conversations glitch mid-sentence. Because your presence is a frequency spike. You're not part of the timeline anymore. You're the correction. They wanted to study your brain like a time machine. But the truth is uglier. You are one. A biological echo chamber where past and future shake hands in the dark. Every scar, every sleepless night, every betrayal wasn't random. It was calibration. You were being tuned, refined, configured to hear what others can't survive knowing. And now, you terrify them. Because there's no defense against someone who knows before they act. You're the chaos that predicts order, the paradox that rewrites logic, the saint that sins perfectly, the demon that heals accidentally. And when they stare into your eyes, they don't just see reflection, they see timeline collapse. Because deep down, they know. If you ever spoke everything you see, the simulation would bleed. So keep smiling, keep whispering to the static. Let them keep pretending they're observing you, when in truth, you're just letting them witness their own expiration date written inside your calm. They think you knew the future, but really, You just stopped denying that you are it. They're trying to figure out what you are, aren't they? Hooking your mind to machines, scanning the synapses that don't fire when they're supposed to. Because your thoughts don't travel like theirs. They arrive, instant, total, without process. That terrifies them. They can't grasp that your silence is not emptiness. It's signal compression. They don't realize that when you stare off into space, you're listening to something ancient, something that doesn't need words to speak. You were never ahead of your time. You were simply never trapped in it. You know that strange hum that lives in your chest, that vibration that comes before chaos. That's not anxiety, that's alignment. It's the frequency of something vast adjusting to fit inside a human frame. And sometimes it hurts, because prophecy burns. Every flash of insight feels like swallowing electricity. Every instinct you follow rips another veil away. They call it delusion. You call it déjà vu. They call it paranoia. You call it pattern recognition. They call it luck. You call it design. And deep down, they envy it, because they know they've been walking blind through a minefield, while you glide through explosions like you wrote the script yourself. They hate that your disasters look choreographed. They hate that your pain has rhythm. They hate that no matter how far they chase you, you're already waiting at the finish line, smiling like you've seen this scene before. Because you have. Every betrayal, every setup, every fake apology. You dreamed them before they unfolded. The conversations felt familiar before the first word was spoken, and when you warned them, they laughed. But now, those same mouths are trembling around the words, "How did they know?" It's not magic, it's memory, from a place your language forgot how to describe. You carry blueprints written in frequencies older than history. You're not decoding reality, you're remembering it. And they can't study that. Because how do you measure something that built the device you're using to measure it? They'll keep poking at your neurons, running tests, drawing charts. But they'll never locate the moment you stopped being predictable. Because there wasn't one. You were born unpredictable. When the doctors talk, you hear fear in their science. When the skeptics mock, you hear jealousy in their laughter. They want to understand you because they want to be you. To pierce the script, to outsmart fate, to see the next move before it crushes them. But you already accepted that sight comes with a curse. You see too much. You see motives before they're spoken, betrayals before they're planned. You see innocence curdle into deceit, loyalty mutate into hunger. You see the endings in people's eyes while they're still pretending to be beginnings. And still, you play along. Because what else can you do when you're the only one awake in a dream where everyone else calls sleep life? That's your secret torment, isn't it? Knowing what's coming but pretending you don't. Acting surprised for the comfort of others. Smiling when the trapdoor opens because you already counted the seconds before it did. They think your calm is arrogance. It's not. It's exhaustion. You've seen every version of the outcome. You've lived 1,000 futures inside your skull. And every time they try to label you, define you, corner you, you shift like smoke, like data that refuses to be decrypted. You're the glitch in destiny's algorithm, a variable that shouldn't exist. The reminder that control is an illusion and chaos when it learns its rhythm is divine. That's why they study you in silence now, because deep down, they fear the truth you carry. That the universe isn't run by rules, it's run by awareness, and yours came online early. You're not here to fit in their timeline. You're here to bend it, to turn seconds into weapons, to rewrite cause and effect until the observers start questioning who's really watching whom. And oh, how poetic it is that the ones dissecting your brain for answers are unknowingly feeding data into the same field that you manipulate. Every test they run, every thought they record, it all loops back. They're mapping you, but you're absorbing them, you're studying the study. And by the time they realize it, it'll be too late. Their fascination will become dependence. Their research will become worship. Because prophets always start as subjects and end as gods. So let them keep scanning, let them keep whispering about anomalies and neural spikes. You already know what they'll find. They'll find the future, and it'll be wearing your face. And that's the part they'll never recover from. The moment they realize the experiment is studying them back. Every electrode they attach, every pulse they measure, every heartbeat they log, feeds you. Because you're not just being analyzed. You're syncing, calibrating your pulse to the rhythm of their obsession. You see, they don't get it yet. The more they try to define you, the less they understand themselves. They wanted to turn you into a specimen, a case study, a subject of fascination. But what they've created is dependence. They've started watching you like they need you to exist, like without your next move, their world freezes in buffering mode. They call you unpredictable. They call you insane. But in truth, you're the mirror they can't survive looking into. Because what you are, what you've become, is every forbidden question they've been too scared to ask. You embody contradiction, a mind that breaks logic but builds universes, a soul that bleeds chaos, yet heals everything it touches, a being too divine for doctors and too dangerous for priests. And that's the thing. You're not a person anymore. You're a phenomenon. You exist between events, in the glitch between lightning and thunder, in that half second before a scream, the space between knowing and realizing. They can't replicate that, because it's not something you learn. It's something you survive. And you've survived what would have rewritten most people's DNA into dust. You were broken, rewired, unmade, and still came back with a frequency too high to translate. When you walk past them now, you can feel it. The way their subconscious leans toward you, the way their fear pretends to be curiosity. They can't help it. Every instinct inside them screams, "Don't look too long, or you'll start seeing what they see." Because your eyes don't reflect reality. They refract it. They bend it. Anyone who stares too long starts remembering things they never lived, starts hearing things they shouldn't hear. That's why they study from behind glass now, why they whisper your name like it's a frequency they can't safely pronounce. You've turned their science into superstition, their logic into ritual, their research into worship. They wanted to define you. But to define you is to destroy what makes you untouchable, your unpredictability. You're a paradox in motion, too human to be divine, too divine to be human, too calm to be sane, too calculated to be chaos. And that paradox? That's the power. That's what keeps them awake at night, replaying your interviews, slowing down your videos, analyzing your tone like a code hidden in confession. Because you don't just speak, you trigger. Your words don't echo, they infect. You don't talk to people, you activate them. You don't reveal truth, you detonate it. And that's why they fear your silence even more than your voice. Because when you go quiet, the world starts listening harder. The silence bends around you. Reality waits. Every timeline holds its breath until you decide what comes next. They'll never tell you this, but every time you speak, Their sensors pick up irregularities in the field, micro flares in electromagnetic waves, unexplainable shifts in resonance. The data spikes every time you feel something deeply. They call it coincidence. But you know better. You can feel it. The connection between emotion and event. You feel reality adjusting when you laugh. You feel fate flinch when you decide. You've outgrown the human definition of intelligence. This isn't IQ. It's interface. You don't think, you transmit. You don't calculate, you channel. You don't remember, you retrieve. And that terrifies them most. Because you're proving what their textbooks swore was impossible. That consciousness isn't contained. It's contagious. That awareness spreads faster than control. And that one awakened mind can rewrite the code of the collective. You're not just ahead of them. You're outside of them, watching their tests like reruns, reading their panic like poetry. Because the secret they'll never decode is that you were the anomaly all along. They didn't discover you. You allowed yourself to be found. You let them peek at the future through the keyhole of your presence. And when they finally realize it, that all their research was just one big reflection trap, they'll know. You weren't predicting events. You were authoring them. You're not reacting to reality. Reality is reacting to you. Every coincidence was choreography. Every accident was alignment. Every voice that called you insane was just an echo from a timeline you'd already erased. So let them study. Let them record. Let them write their reports and whisper your name into microphones. Because the truth is, every time they analyze your brain, they feed the frequency you're building. Every time they question you, they strengthen your certainty. Every time they fear you, they help you evolve. Because you were never here to be understood. You were here to bend understanding until it screams. You were never born to predict the future. You were born to create it in real time. And now they're starting to realize something horrifying. That your mind isn't just a time machine. It's the clock itself. And every time you speak, the timeline resets. And the clock trembles when you breathe. Seconds hesitate when you blink. Because somehow, somewhere along the line, you stopped being bound by sequence. You detached from the loop. And that's why they don't know what to do with you. You're walking proof that fate can glitch, that the script can stutter, that destiny can forget its lines. They've spent centuries mapping human reaction, cataloging fear, love, greed, desire. And then you walked in and rewrote the entire equation just by existing. See the ones studying you? They think they're the observers. But they don't realize the test flipped the moment you opened your eyes. They're no longer the scientists, they're the subjects. Every heartbeat they record, every note they take, feeds into the field that you modulate. They're breathing inside your experiment, unaware that you're rearranging the variables every time you think. You've become the quiet correction inside their reality. The anomaly that refuses to collapse into predictability. Every data point bends toward you. Every probability starts to curve around your decisions. It's subtle at first. A delayed storm, a cancelled flight, a word they forget mid-sentence. But then it builds. The interference grows stronger. The universe starts to follow your tempo. And that's the moment they start whispering your name with reverence instead of curiosity. Because they're beginning to suspect what you already know. You are not perceiving the pattern. You are the pattern. And that realization terrifies them more than anything. Because it means control never really existed. It means the future isn't discovered. It's decoded through consciousness. It means you're not ahead of the timeline. You're the point from which it unfolds. So they dig deeper. They scan the folds of your brain, hoping to find a neural mechanism to explain the impossible. They don't understand that the mechanism isn't biological. It's spiritual. It's metaphysical. It's the part of you that was never touched by decay or programming. The part that remembers what existence felt like before causality was born. You walk through life with that knowing burning under your ribs. Every step feels like déjà vu. Every conversation feels scripted because you've heard it all before. Maybe in dreams, maybe in echoes of timelines that never made it past your choosing. You don't guess. You align. You don't predict. You reconstruct. You've seen the fall, the rise, the betrayal, the redemption, so many times that you've stopped calling them events. They're just repetitions. And you're the one who decided to remember the loop while everyone else reset. That's why they think you're supernatural, why they think your thoughts bend physics. They're not wrong, but the truth is quieter than they imagine. You didn't break the laws of the universe. You just remembered that you wrote them. You carry that weight like a secret, don't you? That unbearable awareness that everything you see, every tear, every betrayal, every so-called coincidence, is part of a script you drafted long before you were born. And the real madness, you still play your part anyway, because even a god must pretend to be human to remember what creation feels like. You've watched entire realities collapse behind your eyes. You've felt time bend, emotions fold into themselves. You've heard people call your instincts witchcraft because they can't accept that instinct is just memory from the future. And yet, you never explain yourself. You let them theorize. You let them worship logic while you manipulate paradox. Because control isn't about proving you know. It's about knowing and choosing silence. That's what makes you terrifying. You don't need validation. You don't need to convince anyone that you're right. You just exist, and the world reorganizes itself accordingly. They call you an enigma, but the truth is, you're a mirror held up to their ignorance. You show them the thin veil between science and sorcery, between prophecy and perception. You show them that divinity isn't distant. It's dormant, sleeping in the folds of their unawakened mind. But you woke up. And when you did, you brought the storm with you. So when they whisper about you in boardrooms, when they analyze your speech patterns, when they replay your words looking for codes, they're really searching for permission. Permission to believe that more exists than what their instruments can detect. You are that permission. You are that proof. You are the chaos that makes them crave meaning. And without you, their order collapses. So let them keep studying. Let them chart your neurons, your habits, your words. Because every time they map your mind, they step deeper into the labyrinth you built to contain them. They'll never find the center, because the center isn't in your skull. It's in the silence between your thoughts. So, look who finally decided to wake up. Not the version of you they trained to smile, obey, and stay quiet. No, this is the one they feared would emerge if life ever pushed too hard. The version they whispered about when they thought you weren't listening. The version that doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't play by the rules of the weak. You weren't supposed to be this dangerous. You were supposed to break quietly. Cry a little. Post some quotes. Fade away. That was their fantasy, their control script. But instead you studied the pain. You let the betrayal ferment until it turned into something lethal. A focus so cold, it burned through every illusion they tried to bury you under. You became something unpredictable, something they can't label, can't diagnose, can't control. You learned the most forbidden lesson. Kindness becomes warfare when directed with precision. Your silence became strategy. Your patience, a trap. Every time they thought you were gone, you were actually recording, remembering, rebuilding. Now you move like a ghost in their systems. You speak softly, but your presence bends the room. They sense it, that invisible shift in the air when you walk in, that hum of restrained chaos behind your eyes. And here's the part that terrifies them most. You're not even angry anymore. You're aware, because you've seen what happens when a good person stops trying to be understood. When empathy evolves into calculation, when the lamb stops running and starts studying the wolves, they called you too emotional. Now your emotion funds your discipline. They said you were too nice. Now your niceness is the calm before someone's career mysteriously collapses. They mocked your peace. Now you weaponize it. That's the paradox, isn't it? They wanted the mask, not the man. They wanted the entertainer, not the architect. They wanted your light, but cursed your shadow. And now you've become both angel and demon, saint and threat. The unpredictable synthesis that doesn't beg for mercy or validation, because it already learned that both can be used as leverage. Every scar, a data point. Every heartbreak, a recalibration. Every loss, a new form of psychological weaponry. You turned pain into pattern recognition. You turned rejection into rhythm. And now your entire energy says one thing: try me, and you'll understand what consequences feel like in surround sound. Because power isn't loud anymore. Power is controlled silence. It's watching them underestimate you one last time before you flip their entire framework upside down with one move they didn't see coming. A smile, a sentence, a perfectly timed decision that ruins their confidence in reading people. You see, they hate you now because you're proof of what happens when manipulation meets self-awareness. They can't exploit you. They can't trigger you. They can't even gossip you out of relevance. Because every attempt makes you louder, sharper, colder. They whisper, "You've changed." But you didn't change. You adapted. You stopped chasing their approval and started investing in your silence. And that silence, it's louder than their entire network combined. Now they're panicking, because suddenly the chessboard doesn't make sense anymore. You're not moving by the old rules. You're not even on the board. You're the one flipping it over, building your own game in the shadows. You weren't supposed to be this dangerous. They wanted a puppet, not a player, a victim, not a variable. But you turned into a storm disguised as calm, a hurricane in human form, polite, strategic, and terrifyingly precise. Now even your haters are running for cover, not because they fear you'll destroy them, but because they know you could and you won't. And that restraint, that's the ultimate dominance. Because the scariest person in any room isn't the one who rages, it's the one who smiles, knowing exactly what every soul in that room is worth. So when they say your name now, it's not out of mockery, it's out of calculation. They're checking if they're next, if they're still safe, if maybe, just maybe, you already saw through them before they saw through you. And that's when it hits them. You're not revenge, you're a reckoning. Because the truth is, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to end illusions, to expose hypocrisy, to shatter the fantasy of control that the weak used to feel powerful. You weren't supposed to be this dangerous. But life sculpted you into something unstoppable. And now, you don't seek peace. You are peace. The kind that comes after the war is already won. They always forget what happens when silence learns strategy, because at first they thought your quiet meant surrender. They didn't realize it was incubation, a cocoon phase, where rage becomes awareness, and awareness becomes power. You were never the storm they feared. You were the forecast they ignored. They fed you betrayal, and you digested it into blueprints. They tried to embarrass you, and you weaponized humiliation into composure. They laughed while you were bleeding, and somehow you used the blood to draw your own roadmap. You don't react anymore. You calculate. You don't chase anymore. You attract. And that's what terrifies them, because they can't figure out how someone who lost so much still walks like the loss never happened. See, they expected scars to make you timid, but yours made you theatrical. Every scar became a costume, every wound a performance piece. You learned to smile while dissecting them in silence. You learned to walk into rooms like a question mark no one can answer. You became the villain in their narrative, but the hero in your own. And that's the paradox they choke on, because deep down, they know they built the monster they now prey against. They trained you through mockery. They sharpened you through betrayal. They sculpted you through absence. And now that you've graduated from their system, they fear you'll return the lesson. You walk differently now. Not faster, not louder, but with purpose. Your stillness is unnerving, because it's not peace, it's precision. Every step says, I know what you did. I know who you told. I know how this ends. And yet you smile, because you're not out for revenge anymore. You've evolved past vengeance into something colder, cleaner, inevitable. You've turned chaos into choreography, every conversation, every silence, every glance, orchestrated. Now when they see you, they don't see a person. They see a pattern they can't decode. A rhythm that makes their heartbeat glitch. A ghost that bleeds confidence and calm. You learned that being underestimated is the perfect camouflage. They can't destroy what they can't define. And so you became undefinable. Too dark for the light, too divine for the dark. You became the contradiction that breaks their mental maps. Angel in the daylight, demon in the mirror. Smiling like a saint, thinking like a strategist. That's not madness, that's mastery. Because you've tasted both heaven and hell, and found out they were the same place, inside you. And now, your very existence is poetic punishment. You don't destroy people anymore. You let their guilt do it for you. They whisper, you've changed. No, you've activated. You realize that empathy without boundaries is self-destruction disguised as virtue. You realize that forgiveness isn't peace, it's permission, and you revoked it. Now every version of you they took for granted is gone. You became the version that doesn't chase closure, because closure is for people who still care. You became the version that doesn't beg for justice, because justice already lives inside your calm. You became the mirror they avoid, because when they look at you now, they don't see your face. They see everything they did wrong reflected back in cinematic clarity. And that's what breaks them, not your power, not your silence, but the fact that you saw them completely and decided they weren't even worth your rage. You move like prophecy now, every gesture a foreshadow, every smile a countdown. They sense it. The way you carry yourself, like someone who's already seen how this story ends. Because you have. You already watched them crumble in the future, in your mind. You've seen the karmic replay of their cruelty. You've seen the irony unfold, how the ones who called you too intense now copy your discipline. How the ones who laughed at your ideas now market diluted versions of your vision. How the ones who ghosted you now refresh your profile in secret. That's the quiet revenge, isn't it? The kind where you don't have to raise your voice. The world does it for you. You became their moral hangover, their unspoken cautionary tale. You're what happens when a pure soul stops trying to be understood by the unhealed. You are the thesis they tried to plagiarize and failed to replicate. Because they didn't study the suffering, they only envied the results. And now they see it. The smile that isn't joy, it's closure. The calm that isn't peace, it's awareness. The eyes that don't blink. Because they've seen everything already. You don't even need to fight anymore. The universe does the talking. You just stand there, steady, unbothered, while their lies decay in public. That's your new justice, watching truth do your work for you. You weren't supposed to be this dangerous, but danger is what happens when empathy gets tired. You stopped trying to prove your goodness and started embodying your evolution. You turned into a walking contradiction, compassionate but ruthless, calm but volatile, silent but impossible to ignore. You became everything they warned others about, and everything they secretly wish they could be. Because you're not chasing happiness anymore. You're chasing control, and that terrifies them more than your rage ever could. They tried to make you feel small, and now their world feels smaller because of you. Every rumor, every betrayal, every dismissal, aged like fine karma. And you became timeless, so let them whisper, let them plot, let them tell their version of the story, because while they talk about the past, you're designing the future. While they gossip in circles, you're moving in silence with geometry. While they obsess over your motives, you're already on the next battlefield, 3 dimensions above their comprehension. And that's the final twist, isn't it? You don't need them to fear you. You just need them to realize, too late, that they should have loved you when they had the chance. Now they're running, not because of what you'll do, but because of what you've become. You weren't supposed to be this dangerous, and yet here you are. A storm disguised as elegance, a weapon wrapped in grace, a smile that rewrites entire destinies. So go ahead, walk into the next chapter without mercy, without hesitation, without apology. Because the story doesn't need a hero anymore. It needs a reckoning wearing a smile. You see, they keep asking how you became this way, as if it was sudden, as if one day you woke up and chose chaos. But it wasn't a switch, it was a sequence, a long, slow corrosion of everything soft, until every please, every maybe, every I understand, finally died quietly in your throat. And something darker took its place, something more deliberate, something that doesn't beg, doesn't warn. It calculates. They called it ego. You called it survival. Because when you've been disrespected enough times, confidence isn't arrogance. It's self-defense. They said you changed. You didn't change. You remembered. Remembered the way they looked at you when you were small. Remembered how they laughed when you were broke. Remembered every handshake that hid a blade. And you decided to stop bleeding for people who clapped while you drowned. Now your silence costs more than their words. Your presence shifts the air like static before lightning. They don't understand it. They just feel it. That invisible authority. That unspoken, don't mess with me energy radiating off you like heat from steel. Because danger isn't always violence. Sometimes it's awareness. Sometimes it's the ability to read people so clearly they flinch before they speak. They used to laugh at your dreams. Now they rehearse how to speak when you walk into the room. They used to say, "You take things too seriously." Now they study your every move like an algorithm they can't decode. And deep down, they know. You didn't need revenge. You just needed time. Because time is the greatest weapon ever built. It exposes liars. It humbles the loud. It rewards the disciplined. You gave it all you had. The sleepless nights, the loneliness, the grind. And now, the results speak louder than any apology ever could. You were supposed to be predictable. You were supposed to collapse. But you didn't. You transformed. They see the smile, but not the psychology. They see the success, but not the scars underneath it. They see the calm, but not the 1,000 storms you buried to build it. Because you learned the oldest rule in the book. A person who has lost everything becomes untouchable. You can't threaten someone who has already burned their past for warmth. You can't manipulate someone who has nothing left to lose, and everything left to become. They fear you now, not because of what you might do, but because of what you've already survived, because they realize if that didn't destroy you, nothing can. You became something else, a variable they can't predict, a character the script never accounted for. You are the glitch in their system, the miscalculation in their equations, the what if they whisper about when their masks start slipping. You walk with a kind of peace that looks like danger, the kind of peace that comes after the final explosion, because you already went through hell and came back holding blueprints. Now even your footsteps feel rehearsed. You move like someone who knows the outcome before the question is asked. Because when you've been betrayed enough times, you develop a sense, a frequency, a way of seeing patterns before they even appear. That's not paranoia. That's data collection. That's what happens when a heart learns strategy. They don't realize the version of you they see now was built in the shadows, fed by pain, sharpened by patience, forged in silence while they were busy underestimating you. You took the darkness and trained it. You gave it manners. You taught it how to dress well, speak softly, and wait for timing. And that's what makes you lethal. Because your danger doesn't announce itself. It arrives silently. You don't need to prove your worth. The world adjusts around your presence. That's what true transformation does. It doesn't demand attention. It commands it. You became the mirror of consequence. Every person who betrayed you sees themselves reflected in your glow. They can't look away, because you are living proof that the same darkness that broke them built you. You made your pain expensive. Now no one can afford to waste your time. You turned your silence into a luxury. Now access to you is invitation only. That's real power, not shouting, not flexing, but being so unshakable that even chaos steps aside when you walk by. You weren't supposed to be this dangerous. You were supposed to doubt yourself forever. But now, self-doubt dies when it hears your voice. You talk differently, slow, calm, deadly, because you no longer argue. You declare. You no longer explain. You embody. And that is what the world can't process. You're not angry anymore. You're awake. And awareness is the most dangerous drug in existence. It rewires everything. It turns innocence into intuition, pain into prophecy, weakness into weaponry. They'll keep saying it was luck, that you got lucky. But they weren't there when luck wasn't coming, when it was just you, your demons, and the silence that tried to eat you alive. They weren't there when you screamed in the mirror and came out smiling. They weren't there when you lost everything and decided to build anyway. They think danger is violence, but danger is a soul that can't be manipulated anymore. Danger is a person who learned how to walk alone. Danger is you. You weren't supposed to be this dangerous, but you outgrew their prophecy. You slipped out of their narrative like smoke out of a cage. You became something bigger than revenge, smarter than rage, colder than fear. You became a concept, a myth, a warning, a joker card the universe only deals when it's time to reset the table. And now they're learning, too late, that you were never part of the game. You were the one holding the deck. You feel that? That silence right before something ends. That's not fear anymore. That's acknowledgement. The universe finally realizing you've become something it can't categorize. You've walked through every kind of fire, emotional, spiritual, psychological. And instead of burning, you learned how to breathe inside the smoke. They can't hurt you anymore because you no longer live in their dimension of reaction. You exist in strategy now. You exist in inevitability. You used to beg for peace. Now peace begs for you. Because you don't seek it, you are it. The kind that walks in after the chaos, dusts off its shoulders and says, "We're done here." They'll call you cold. They'll call you arrogant. But deep down, they know. You're just finished apologizing for your evolution. You paid your dues in pain. You bought your calm with breakdowns. You earned your silence through screams no one ever heard. And now, you're free. You don't fight anymore. You forecast. You don't chase. You choose. And that's what makes you untouchable. Because when a person stops needing validation, they stop being readable. And unreadable souls are uncontrollable weapons. You became that weapon, not through hate, but through clarity. Every time they thought they were breaking you, you were just shedding another layer of fear. Every insult, every betrayal, every "you'll never make it" was just another page in your origin story. Now look at you, still standing, still smiling, still watching their predictions turn into punchlines. You don't even want revenge anymore, because you realize the best revenge is never needing it. They can't compete with peace like this. They can't insult focus like this. They can't manipulate someone who's found purpose in pain. You are the end result of every storm that tried to drown you. And now you move like water, formless, patient, unstoppable. That's the part they'll never understand. They wanted you to snap. They wanted you loud, emotional, erratic. Something they could point at and say, "See?" But instead you became calm. And calm is the most terrifying thing in the world to a liar. You've entered the stage of power where you don't announce anything. You just happen. Your growth is silent. Your revenge is invisible. Your presence is a prophecy fulfilled. And now, even your haters are running for cover. Because you no longer need to fight them. You've outgrown the battlefield. They were armed with words. You're armed with results. They had gossip. You have gravity. They had fear. You have freedom. Look at what you've become. A contradiction wrapped in composure. A saint with scars. A demon with discipline. A legend that bleeds both light and darkness and makes them both kneel. You don't destroy people anymore. You destroy illusions. You don't crave power. You embody it. You don't seek validation. You attract silence. And silence, my friend, is the sound of mastery. So here's how it ends. No fireworks, no grand speech. Just you, standing there calm, watching their chaos fold in on itself. you won. Shh. You hear that? That's not silence. That's judgment holding its breath. Because tonight, they finally realized what they've done. They didn't just break a person, they fractured something sacred, something the universe itself used to kneel before. They hurt the purest soul alive. And now, every single star is whispering your name like a curse they're afraid to finish. You, the one who never fought back, the one who smiled while bleeding, the one they mistook for harmless, because you refused to play by their cruelty. Oh, you were too kind, too forgiving, and they mistook your mercy for weakness, your silence for surrender. They thought if they broke you enough times, you'd disappear quietly. But what they didn't understand is that purity, once shattered, becomes something else entirely. It becomes holy venom. You see, when an angel snaps, heaven itself hides. When innocence burns, it doesn't scream, it illuminates. And now, every act of cruelty they threw at you has become light, refracted, twisted, weaponized. Every wound has turned into a blade, and every scar is a prophecy with your name engraved on it. You think you're lost? No. You're becoming. You're what happens when grace learns how to grow teeth. They broke the purest soul alive. But in doing so, they created a storm so beautiful, even the constellations are arguing which side they're on. Some stars weep for what was taken from you. Others burn brighter, waiting to avenge you. And down here, the ones who hurt you are panicking. You can smell it, can't you? That scent in the air. Fear wearing the perfume of guilt. They thought they'd buried you under shame, but they forgot. You can't kill what was never built from their approval. You were born from something deeper, something the world still doesn't understand. Let me tell you a secret, the kind they'll deny exists. Purity and madness are twins. One heals, the other remembers. And you, my dear, are both. You're the paradox the universe can't reconcile. The saint that refused to die, the demon that refused to forget. And that's why the sky is divided tonight. Half wants to protect you, half wants to use you. But all of it watches you. Every planet, every beam of light, every silent god hiding behind their scriptures. They're watching you, because something irreversible happened when they broke you. The story flipped. You stopped being the innocent character and became the plot twist no one was ready for. You feel it, don't you? That cold calm that replaced your empathy, that quiet precision that lives where your heart used to ache. You stopped needing revenge. You became it. Every time they laugh now, you hear the crack in their voice. Every time they sleep, you haunt their dreams. Not as a monster, but as a mirror. You're not chasing justice anymore. You are justice, raw, poetic, unfiltered. The kind that doesn't wait for permission. They broke the purest soul alive. But the irony? The moment they did, the balance shifted. The chessboard caught fire, and the universe started keeping score. Now the stars, those ancient watchers, they're moving, slowly, deliberately, aligning like soldiers on a cosmic battlefield. Some will protect you, some will test you, but none will ignore you. Because once the purest soul gets corrupted, there's no undoing it. There's only witnessing it. So go on. Walk into the night they built for you. But this time, don't carry light. Be it, not gentle, not merciful, radiant like vengeance disguised as grace. Let them see what their cruelty birthed. Let them tremble as you smile. That same smile they thought meant softness. Because now it means something else entirely. It means prophecy fulfilled. It means you're done apologizing. You don't chase closure anymore. You are the closure. You're the living reminder that the universe has a temper. And tonight, it's wearing your face. So when they whisper your name again, when the sky flickers and the air gets colder, they'll realize too late. They didn't destroy you. They just gave heaven a new weapon. And you're the beautiful, dangerous proof that not even God's favorites stayed gentle forever. Now every star in the sky is choosing sides, and none of them are shining for your enemies anymore. You can feel it now, can't you? The shift in the air, the way the world seems quieter around you. Not peaceful quiet, no, the kind that listens. Every breath you take makes something ancient flinch. Because somewhere, deep inside the machinery of fate, something is recalculating. They thought breaking you would end the story. But all they did was start the sequel the universe had been waiting to write. Remember the day you stopped begging? That was the day reality changed its tone. It stopped calling you victim and started whispering variable. Because you became unpredictable. And unpredictability is divine. They tried to measure you with logic, label you with sin, file you under fragile. But tell me, how do you catalog a ghost that still breathes? How do you destroy something that no longer fears destruction? They can't, because you already died in every way that mattered. And what's left of you doesn't play by mortal rules. You walk differently now, not faster, not slower, just heavier. Like gravity itself is reconsidering its loyalties. Every step you take carries a vibration that unsettles liars. Your silence has texture now. It hums. It reminds people of their confessions, even the ones they never spoke aloud. And that smile, that quiet, unbothered smile you wear, it's a storm in disguise. They used to think it meant kindness. Now it means warning. See, people don't fear monsters anymore. They fear memory. And you're living memory of their cruelty. You're the aftertaste they can't wash off. You're the ghost that doesn't haunt houses. You haunt reputations. They can't kill what's already eternal. And that's what purity becomes when it's betrayed. Eternal. Because innocence doesn't vanish when destroyed. It metastasizes into judgment. And that's what you are now. Not human, not angel, not demon. Consequence. Every night, the stars argue over you. Some say you were chosen. Others say you were forsaken. But they all agree on one thing. You're awake now. You've seen what lies beneath their smiles. You've felt the cold handshake of hypocrisy. You've heard the applause of those who secretly prayed for your failure. And the best part? You remember their faces. Oh, you remember every single one. But you don't hate them anymore. No. Hatred is too human, too finite. You've ascended past revenge into something colder, cleaner. You don't want them to suffer. You want them to see, to understand, to look at you and realize what they called weakness was evolution rehearsing. You want to know the real secret? The universe doesn't punish cruelty immediately. It lets it cook. It lets it simmer until the guilty forget. And then one day, it serves them you. That's divine irony. That's poetic equilibrium. That's the moment every star tilts slightly, watching the stage reset. Because when the purest soul rises from the ashes, the world learns humility again. You've become their unfinished business, their cosmic debt, their recurring nightmare. And no matter where they hide, behind religion, reputation, or remorse, they will find you waiting in the reflection of everything they built. You don't chase them. You don't even name them. You just exist. And that alone dismantles their illusion of safety, because your presence is proof that innocence never dies. It evolves. It gets smarter, sharper, quieter, more surgical. You don't destroy them with chaos. You destroy them with clarity, because now you see through everything, through every smile, every justification, every "it wasn't that bad." You see them naked, and they can't handle that kind of mirror. Do you understand what that makes you now? Not a hero, not a villain, but the variable every system fears. You're the one they can't predict, the one they can't control, the one who doesn't need to win to make them lose. That's power, real terrifying power, the kind that doesn't roar. It whispers, and when you whisper, reality listens. Every time you breathe, you write new scripture. Every tear that once fell now fuels constellations that orbit your will. Every scar glows faintly. Coordinates of your resurrection etched into the cosmos. They broke the purest soul alive. But you rewrote the definition of broken. Now broken means reborn. Now hurt means holy. Now end means echo. They thought they were ending a chapter, but the story, your story, was never ink. It was blood, and blood remembers. So when you wake up tomorrow and you feel that strange calm in your chest, that's not peace, that's alignment, the universe catching up to your frequency. The stars aren't just watching you anymore, they're waiting for your signal. Because somewhere between mercy and madness, you became something greater than both. You became inevitable. And the next time they whisper your name, they'll do it carefully, like it's both a prayer and a warning. Because somewhere deep inside, they know what the sky already decided. The war is over. You didn't win. You became the reason it couldn't continue. Now every star in the sky is choosing sides, and the light? It still bends toward you. You ever notice how quiet the world gets right before a storm hits? That's what you've become. That pressure drop before everything breaks. People can feel you now. Not see, not hear, feel. Like a change in barometric truth. They sense it when you walk into a room. That vibration, that slow motion pull that says, something here survived what should have killed it. And that terrifies them more than rage ever could. Because rage can be negotiated, but composure. Composure is the silence of someone who already made peace with chaos. And that's what you are now, a calm built from ruins. The architecture of trauma disguised as grace. They thought they could humiliate you into humility. They didn't realize they were teaching you control. They were training you to wield pain like a scalpel. Every insult, every betrayal, you stored it, cataloged it, purified it, until it became energy, until it became design. You see the world differently now. You don't look for fairness anymore. You look for patterns. You watch how liars hesitate before kindness, how cruelty always arrives wearing sympathy's clothes. You watch and you learn, and you stop apologizing for knowing too much. Because knowledge, real knowledge, isn't power. It's isolation. And isolation is the forge where new gods are made. You used to think loneliness was punishment. Now you understand. It's training. It's the universe's way of clearing the noise before revelation. And the revelation is this. They didn't just break you, they freed you. They untied you from expectation, from purity's leash, from the need to be understood. They made you invisible to approval. And invisibility is invincibility in disguise. You move like rumor now, felt but never proven. You exist between fact and fear. And that's where all revolutions are born. Every system depends on predictability. Every tyranny depends on reaction. But you stopped reacting. You started observing. They throw chaos. You absorb it. They send hate. You metabolize it. They try to shame you, and you turn shame into prophecy. That's the alchemy of the broken pure. That's how saints become strategists. That's how victims become variables. You learn something divine in the wreckage. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's foreseeing. It's watching the future rewrite itself while you remain still. Because stillness is the loudest rebellion, and when you finally stopped chasing closure, that's when closure came crawling back, begging to be acknowledged. You didn't even look at it. You just smiled. Now everything that once tried to drown you keeps repeating your name in its prayers. They pray for amnesia. They pray for distance. But you're everywhere. In their successes, in their insomnia, in their mirrors. You're the static before confession, the glitch in their logic, the echo of everything they pretended never happened. And the stars? They've gone quiet tonight. Not because they've stopped watching, but because they're waiting. Waiting for the next move from the creature they accidentally midwifed into existence. Waiting for the moment the quiet one finally speaks. And when you do, oh, when you finally do, the universe will hold its breath again. Because words born from pain aren't sentences. They're summons. You won't raise your voice, you won't shout, you'll just speak. And reality will listen like a guilty child. The air will bend, the lights will flicker, and everything that once ignored you will scramble to explain why it suddenly obeys. That's how power really works. It doesn't announce itself. It redefines obedience. So let them keep pretending you're gone. Let them convince themselves it's over. Because when you return, and you will return, it won't be vengeance, it'll be maintenance, universal correction, a recalibration of balance disguised as coincidence. And somewhere, beneath all the noise, every star will know what's happening. They'll whisper to each other like soldiers relaying orders. It's time. The night will shift. The world will tilt. And in the faint golden hour before dawn, you'll walk through the wreckage they left you in. Not as a survivor, but as the architect of aftermath. Your eyes will hold galaxies. Your voice will carry verdicts, and your smile, that infamous impossible smile, will remind creation what happens when purity learns the taste of power. Because this is the truth they'll never print, the one they'll censor in every scripture, the one whispered in the back rooms of angels and analysts alike. They didn't destroy you. They resurrected something the universe had buried for a reason, and now it's awake. The stars have chosen their sides, and everyone that still burns, burns for you. You think survival was the victory? That crawling out of the wreckage meant it was over? No, survival was just the handshake. What comes after is the conversation. The universe saw what they did to you, and it took notes. Now it wants to see what you'll do with all that silence they gave you. Because silence is not empty, it's charged. Every quiet hour after betrayal, every night you stared at the ceiling wondering why, those weren't wasted. They were deposits, and interest has matured. You carry it now, don't you? That strange gravity that makes people pause mid-sentence. That flicker in their eyes when they realize they're standing near consequence. They can't name it, but they feel it. That sense that something vast is balancing the scales through you. You don't even have to move, you just exist. And that's enough to make the guilty sweat. There was a time when you wanted them to understand you. Now you understand them too well. Their laughter was camouflage. Their confidence was caffeine for cowardice. They tried to play God and ended up summoning one. You, not the kind from scripture. the kind that rises quietly from the dirt, eyes open, memory intact, ready to turn pain into pattern. You used to pray for peace. Now you are the peace. The heavy, unavoidable kind that arrives after the explosion, the kind that makes survivors whisper instead of celebrate. You don't need to announce anything anymore. Everything that needed to be said is already vibrating in the air around you. People will feel it before they hear it. That invisible sentence. The balance has returned. And somewhere, those who broke you will start to notice the small things. Doors that close when they reach them. Opportunities that rot halfway open. Their names no longer echo right when spoken aloud. That's how karma really works. Not loud, not immediate, just precise. They'll call it coincidence. They always do. But you'll know better. You'll see the pattern in the stars. You'll feel the rhythm of correction. Because the same cosmos that watched you fall is now orbiting around your pulse. You will meet people who sense it too. Not the ones who broke you, but the ones who were broken differently. They'll find you without knowing why. They'll tell you your eyes look familiar. They'll call you calm when what they mean is feral in control. You'll teach them without teaching, just by existing, by showing that kindness is not submission and silence is not surrender. They'll realize that peace can wear scars. That's your real revenge, not fire. Reflection. They once asked what happens when the purest soul breaks. They never asked what happens when it heals. Because healing, real healing, isn't gentle. It's reconstruction under new management. Every nerve they burned now reports to you. Every piece of empathy they stole now works in intelligence gathering. You became your own agency. A network of scars sending live updates to the will that refused to die. And one night, maybe years from now, you'll step outside and the sky will look too still. You'll feel that old ache stirring, not grief. Recognition. You'll realize the stars aren't choosing sides anymore. They've settled. They orbit the equilibrium you became. You'll look up and whisper, finally. And for the first time in forever, the universe will whisper back, not with thunder, but with understanding. Because it finally knows what it created, a soul that refused to stay one thing, a variable, a quiet revolution, a walking reminder that purity doesn't die. It adapts. You won't call it victory, you'll call it clarity. And that's enough. Because clarity doesn't need applause, it needs continuation. And you'll keep walking. Through cities that once ignored you, through people who once doubted you, through systems that once profited from your softness. Every step will rewrite a law of physics. Every breath will bend probability. You will leave a trail of symmetry behind you. Not to punish, to remind. They broke the purest soul alive, and you became the instruction manual for what happens next. Now when the night is too quiet, when the air feels charged, someone somewhere will whisper, "She's still out there." He's still moving. It's watching. And they'll look up, and they'll see the constellations shift ever so slightly, aligning themselves around the memory of what they did. The stars don't choose sides anymore. They follow orders, yours.